Hello everyone and welcome back finally to another video on the channel. It has been a very long time, but I finally had a bit of inspiration and just something I kind of wanted to talk about really. So I had a thought of, instead of doing like a wish list thing completely, which is what a lot of people have been doing throughout Planet Zoo's kind of history, saying what species they would like to see in the game, I decided that I would try and do a bit more of a kind of analysis of what's missing from the game, and then offer a few suggestions on that, and then also take a look at the wish list, the actual proper Planet Zoo Meta Wishlist that is on the forums on the Planet Zoo website, and then just see what people are requesting in terms of the wish list itself. So I have a few ideas of different takes I can do on this, so this could potentially be the start of a little mini series on this, but we will see. We'll get through the first one first and then see what happens after that. So in this video, what we're going to look at is which locations still need representation in Planet Zoo. So what we're going to do is we'll look back at what we have already in Planet Zoo, and then I will give some suggestions. So I'm basically using the Planet Zoo distribution maps from the Zoopedia, which you should all have seen by now if you play the game. So I'm taking those maps, overlaying them all on top of each other to see what areas we have got covered by animals in Planet Zoo already, and then we'll see what's left at the end. Have a look at what we can come up with to fill the gaps, basically. So a little disclaimer, I am using habitat animals only. Some of the exhibit animals would cover extra areas, but I am using habitat animals only because that's, I feel like, what most people are looking for when they're putting these requests in for animals they want. And I'm using the Planet Zoo location maps that are given in the game. So if there's any inaccuracies, then it's Planet Zoo's fault. And then for my own stuff that I'm suggesting, I'm using the IUC and distribution maps again, just as a standard way of looking at stuff to make sure everything's kind of the same. So what I'll do in this first bit then is we'll go through the Planet Zoo map, and we'll add in for every DLC the amount of, all the area that is being covered. Additionally, in more pink, I'll highlight the areas that have been added with a yellow sort of ring around them, and I'll also show the number of animals that each DLC is adding for the areas. So if an animal gets 3 more, if a DLC adds 3 more South American animals, I'll put that in the bottom right hand corner. But to start with, we'll just have a look at the base stats. So this is the map as it stands in the base game. You can see a big chunk of North America, barely any of South America, no Antarctica, a majority of Africa, about half of Europe, most of Asia, and then only the sort of northern bit of Oceania is covered. And then the stats you can see, so on the bottom right, so just from the base game, 31 African, 20 Asian, 3 European, 5 from North America, 1 Oceania, and 2 South American. So quite a big divide there. Africa, Asia have loads, the rest have barely any. So we'll go through each DLC. I'll try and keep it brief so it's not too boring, but it is kind of interesting, at least from my point of view, which is why I'm doing this video, to have a look at what areas are covered and how many animals each continent has representing it, or each area has representing it. So for the Arctic, as you can imagine, we have added just the Arctic area. So all across the kind of Arctic, so North America, Europe, and Asia, we have added a bit from in the Arctic pack. Then we got the South America pack, obviously added South American animals, but also some that represent North America too. Mostly the kind of Central America area, which for the purposes of this, South America is just that continent, and Central America is part of North America, just for the purposes of this video, just so you know. So yeah, in South America we just added about half or maybe 2/3 of South America represented. Then we got the Australia pack, of course added majority of Australia for that. Then we got the aquatic pack, so we got a couple of South American animals that didn't actually add any representation in terms of the map, but then we did get the aquatic species, the penguin and the seal, and they got this ocean distribution on the map there, so they were added to that. Southeast Asia pack was Southeast Asia was mostly covered already by the saltwater crocodile, so the only little bit we get there is a small chunk from the clouded leopard. I think that's in China. Next we got the Africa pack, so we tied up most of North Africa and then a bit of the southern African coast in the ocean there from the penguin. The North American pack was next, so this added quite a large chunk of Europe in there and a little bit of Asia from the Arctic fox, and then the big one was the cougar that added pretty much the majority of the continental US, the majority of South America as well, and we had the ocean there from the Californian sea line as well on the left hand side. The badger in Europe was the next one that added a lot of land cover, so the badger pretty much completed Europe, or almost completed Europe, and a chunk of Asia as well. The wetlands pack was next, not much more area covered, a little bit in Asia there from the crane and a small amount in South America from the capybara, but that was about it, though it did North America and wetlands both did add a nice mixture of representation for areas with the animals they added. So for wetlands, after wetlands, was conservation. As you can see, nothing added. All the animals in the conservation pack had very small ranges that were already covered by other species, so we didn't get any extra representation from the conservation pack. In Twilight pack, we did get a little bit in Australia from the wombat. We got some of the rest of Europe and North Africa and the rest of Asia pretty much from the red fox. Again, relatively good distribution there in the Twilight pack, covered quite a few areas, represented quite a few areas. After the Twilight pack was the Grasslands pack, so this finished off Australia with the emu, and it finished off North Africa with the striped hyena, and also again quite good distribution there. Some African, some Asian, North America, Oceania, South America, all represented in grasslands. Next was the tropical pack. The only extra really that we got here was the fossa, covering the outer portion of Madagascar all the way round, but still the centre missing any representation there. And that was only 2 African, 2 Asian species again, so very popular areas. And then finally the most recent, the arid pack, just added a tiny little bit of southern West Africa, which you can hopefully just about see the change. So that finished off mainland Africa there. So overall you can see there's quite a good portion of the map covered. We've got almost all North and South America, Europe, Asia, Africa, Australia, some ocean coverage as well, so we're doing pretty well. There's just a few kind of glaring bits that are missing, so looking at this map, bits that stand out, obviously Antarctica down the bottom, and the sea right around it as well. We've got New Zealand, glaringly obvious there. Some of Madagascar and Greenland, pretty much all of the Caribbean, and then some parts of the south of South America missing there too. So what I have done is I have looked at these maps, these areas, sorry, that are still grey on the map, and tried to pick out some species that would represent them. As I say, looking at IUCN distribution maps, and also trying to take into account things that are relatively common or realistic to be in zoos, not the really outlandish things. Yeah, these are things that I've come up with. This is not looking at the wish list. This is just suggestions that I've come up with for these areas, and that would make some of those grey areas pink on the map. So New Zealand is the first one. So we've got North Island brown kiwi, little penguin and kakapo. 3 interesting birds, all good representation for New Zealand, and nice additions, I think, for Planet Zoo, if we were to get them. Underneath that we have Antarctica. So I've gone for 3 penguin species, just because I think the seals are maybe a bit less realistic, but I know that the penguins are a bit more likely or a bit more common to have in zoos. So we've got the southern rockhopper penguin, the gentoo penguin and the chinstrap penguin. Nice little penguins, different from the kind of African Humboldt sort of types of penguins. They have a different look and things, that sort of thing about them. If we go to the top in the middle, we've got Hawaii, so another area that is missing some representation. Obviously it's just a series of relatively small islands, but with some interesting wildlife. In terms of going for big things, it was quite difficult to find big things to represent that wouldn't be, you know, small birds or things like that. But we have got the Hawaiian monk seal and the nene, or the Hawaiian goose. 2 of the classic Hawaiian endemic species. For Madagascar, I struggled to find something that actually had a range in the centre of the island, but one that I could find was the crown sifaka, a very unique species in terms of being in Planet Zoo. We haven't got any similar types of lemur, so it would be a nice addition. That's the only thing I could find, but I didn't look at everything, but I mostly just sort of had a look at lemurs and things like that, bigger things. Underneath that we've got oceans, so the manatee, the West Indian manatee, was a bit of a wild card for me. It's obviously it's fully aquatic, and we know that we currently don't have any fully aquatic animals in Planet Zoo, but I feel like if they were to do a fully aquatic animal, then I'd be happy with a manatee. Good representation for oceans, also Caribbean, but I'm happy not having dolphins and whales and orcas and things like that, but I think a manatee is not a bad addition. We've also got the walrus there, one of the most heavily requested animals for Planet Zoo, and would cover a lot of the sort of Arctic ocean area, and then the green sea turtle, which would cover a lot of the oceans, sort of more towards the centre of the Earth, and also obviously they can come out on land, so in theory not 100% aquatic. It's still got that sort of aspect that you could make it work for Planet Zoo as it stands. If we go up to South America, I've got the southern screamer, a nice sort of type of bird, not as much, like you can get away with it not flying, that sort of thing, even though here it's perched in a tree in the picture, but yeah, but that would be an interesting bird to have in there, and covers the area that's still grey on the map. We've got the Patagonian Mara, which would cover some of the area too. Again, quite heavily requested. A nice little species to have, fairly common. We have them free roaming in my zoos, so yeah, that would be a nice little addition. We've got the Greater Rhea, again quite a common one in zoos. Another ratite was sort of the only thing really we're missing now in terms of the big flightless birds. We've already got the emu, the cassowary, the ostrich, so to have the rhea would be nice to complete the set. And then the Jeffro's cat, covered that area. A lot of people like their small cats and things. It wouldn't be a number one pick for me really, but just in terms of covering the area, this is one of the few that I could find that would do so, that is a bit more realistic. And then finally the Caribbean, we've got the American or Caribbean flamingo. Again, only really a reskin of the greater flamingo, so it wouldn't be my top pick, but it is good representation for the area, so that would be on my list. We've got the Cuban crocodile. Again, I'm not a massive fan of just having loads of crocodilians, but I know this one I think is the one that does all the jumping and running and like galloping and the kind of interesting behaviours, so you could argue that that sets it aside from others. We've got the brown pelican. Be great to have a new species of bird, something different to what we already have. Good representation for birds and the area as well, so that would be a great addition. And then the scarlet ibis, I'm pushing the boat out again here. You could get away with it not flying, although it would be great if it could fly, but just something, again, a different body shape, a different behaviours, so it's something a bit more unique to some of the other birds we already have. A lot of these things that are a bit more unique, a lot of the birds or the sifaka and turtles and things like would be good for modding as well, so even if we got one of these things, they would open the opportunities for more of these things. So yeah, that is my list of things that I have that would cover animals, that would cover the distribution that we're lacking already in Planet Zoo, according to the map distributions. So next, what we'll do now is have a look at the wish list. So this is the Planet Zoo Meta Wishlist. I've used the original one. There is a sort of newer version, but I've used the original one, which has got more votes and things on it. I don't think it's quite up to date, not completely fully up to date, but just the fact that it had more votes and things, I've just gone with that, omitted anything that's already been put in the game now, like the porcupine has not been taken off the list, that sort of thing. But yeah, I've gone for that one. So if we just remind ourselves of the totals of the areas, so what we have got is 49 African, no Antarctic, 4 aquatic, 48 Asian, 13 European, 24 North American, 9 Oceania and 13 South America. So Africa and Asia, we don't really need more from them in terms of if we're looking at purely distribution and what areas are represented fairly, but obviously there's a lot of species that would represent them nicely still, and then there's North America's not doing too bad, it's sort of midway, and then the rest of them are lacking quite a lot in representation. So what I've done is gone through the wish list, and I've written the top 5 most requested species from that list, so from left to right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, number 1 at the top, and we will go through and have a look at every area that I've listed there, so still taking like aquatic as its own thing just for the sake of it, and Antarctica as its own thing still, even though we haven't got anything from there. Taking all of them and picking the top 5 species on the wish list for those areas, and I'll just kind of say my thoughts on it, but obviously I would encourage you guys to put your thoughts on as well in the comments. Let me know what you think of these suggestions from the wish list, or if you disagree with my opinions or you agree with what I'm saying. So yeah, we'll have a look through each of those areas. There's 8 in total. Have a look at the top 5 requested species for each area. So first off, we have Africa. We have the secretary bird, Hamadryas baboon, shoebill, grey crown crane and serval. So secretary bird is the number 1 requested African animal currently. I think it'd be great, unique animal. I'll try and keep my thoughts short and snappy. Unique animal, good representation, Zoo Tycoon 2 nostalgia. So yeah, a great addition I think. Hamadryas baboon, we definitely need more primates I think. They're very interesting, unique looking, so I think they'd be a great addition too. Shoebill, again very unique, quite a widely recognised species now, a bit more popular. Nice bird representation as well. Grey crown crane, the same. Still it's another crane, but it's definitely a more unique looking crane compared to a lot of the others, with the crest and everything on its head. So yeah, I'd be definitely game for another crane, another bird. Interesting that 3 of these are large birds in the African wish list, or African top 5. And then the serval, nice species, medium-ish sort of sized cat. It wouldn't be my top choice, but it's still a nice one, relatively common in zoos, so I'd be quite happy to have a serval, to be honest. But yeah, it wouldn't be my top pick. Next, Antarctica, southern rockhopper penguin, leopard seal, southern elephant seal, emperor penguin, and Adelie penguin. So southern rockhopper I'd definitely be happy with. We've already seen it in my suggestion to cover some of the location that's missing, so that would tick that box. It's a unique looking species compared to what we've already got. Funky looking thing, so yeah, I'd be happy with that. Leopard seal and southern elephant seal, both sort of iconic species from that sort of region. Not really as common in zoos. I think leopard seal there's only ever been like a couple in captivity maybe. Elephant seal I'm not actually sure about. But yeah, I wouldn't personally go for them. They're definitely unique species and have cool behaviours and looks to them and things, but they wouldn't be my top picks for Antarctica. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say no. Emperor penguin is definitely a no from me. It's too similar to the king penguin. I know a lot of people will hate me for saying that because the chicks are so cute, but yeah, I wouldn't say just the chick looking that different is enough for me, to be honest. It would be good representation for the area, but I think I'd probably go for one of the other species of small penguin, a bit more unique than the emperor penguin. And then the Adelie, as I say, a smaller, more unique looking penguin is more my kind of thing that I'm looking for. So yeah, that would be my preference over an emperor. But yeah, I've given my suggestions: Gen 2, Chinstrap, Southern Rockhopper. They'd be my picks for the area. But yeah, let me know your thoughts penguin-wise. What would your number 1 next penguin be? Obviously, Emperor is very popular in the wish list, so maybe a lot of you think that. Aquatic, we have walrus, West Indian manatee, sea otter, alligator snapping turtle, and then the rockhopper penguin again. So I've given my thoughts on the penguin, I won't again. Walrus, definitely I think we should have walrus. Good representation for the Arctic and aquatic areas. It is seen in zoos, you can make some really cool enclosure and things for it, so yeah, I'd definitely be happy with a walrus. Manatee, I've already given my thoughts on. I don't think they will do it because it's fully aquatic, but I think great representation for areas we don't have. A lovely animal, again, you can make some really cool enclosures for it, so yeah, definitely would be on my list. Sea otter, if we were going to go for another otter, then yeah, it probably is one of the more unique looking otters and behaving otters. Wouldn't be my top pick to have another otter probably by now, but yeah, it wouldn't be a bad addition. Alligator snapping turtle I think is a good one. Planet Zoo do reptiles really well as well, so I think they would do it really well. It would be nice to have a turtle, something that we've not got already. Again, you could make some cool enclosures probably for it, even though it's sort of on the small side. But yeah, I mean, well, I say small side, they're still quite big, but yeah, I think that would be a cool addition. And then Southern Rockhopper penguin, I've already discussed. Moving to Asia, we've got Wolverine, Muskox, Hamadryas baboon, Tarkin, and Markhor. So you will see that the Wolverine actually appears on Asia, Europe, and North America's list because it covers all those areas. So for me, it's not a top Asian pick, but obviously I have to include it because it technically comes from that area. But yeah, it wouldn't be a pick for me for Asia. I would definitely go for some other things. Same with the muskox, to be honest. And probably the hamadryas, I would say that's more for Africa. But still, as I say, they do live in Asia, so I have to include them in the Asia top 5 too. But Wolverine itself, great animal, funky little things. I've worked with them before, so they are cool species. I probably they're very high on the wish list as well. They're like top 10, maybe even top 5. But yeah, I don't know if I think I would like it, but I'd want it more for European representation. So yeah, if you said you can have 5 Asian animals, I wouldn't say Wolverine. Same with muskox, but I definitely think we should have it. Wolverine and muskox both nice, sort of northern hemisphere representation, northern species, tundra-y or that sort of areas for the muskox, and then foresty areas for the Wolverine. But yeah, I think they're both cool animals. Muskox, yeah, we definitely should have at some point, I think. Hamadryas, I've said. Tarkin and Markhor, I think both of these would be really good additions for Asia. They're both quite funky looking ungulates. Markhor has the Zoo Tycoon 2 nostalgia as well. And yeah, they're just, if I think Asian animals that we're lacking, these are a couple that spring to mind. So I am quite happy with those two being on the list. Next we have Europe, so Wolverine, Great White Pelican, Wild Boar, Mute Swan and Iberian Lynx. So again, Wolverine, I've said my thoughts. I would definitely like to see it in a Europe pack. Again, I don't think we're going to get Europe pack, Asia pack these days, but in terms of representation for these areas, these are the things that people have listed down. So yeah, Wolverine I think is good representation for Europe. We've got the Great White Pelican. I think that would be a cool one. We haven't got any pelicans, something a bit different. I wouldn't automatically think of it as representing Europe, but that's where it lives, so that's why it's on the list. Wild Boar, mixed feelings. I do think it's good representation for Europe because they are everywhere in Europe, and they are, they're quite different to things we have already in Plant Zoo. To be honest, we haven't got these large pigs. Obviously, we've got the Red River Hog, the Babirusa. I'm sure we have more. Warthog. I might be missing some, can't remember. But yeah, I think they would be a good species to have. Definitely, if you were going to have a Europe pack, I would think Wild Boar would be a good addition. Mute Swan, 100% would be great. Something very different. Nice representation for birds for Europe. And a different type of animal in the game. I think it would be a good one. Iberian Lynx is a no from me. I don't know if that's just a leftover thing in the wish list from obviously before we got the Eurasian lynx. But yeah, even though it's different, it's quite endangered, that sort of thing. Good story. I wouldn't like an Iberian lynx in favour of other more unique animals. But it is still one of the 5th most requested European animal on the wish list. North America, a couple of repeats. Wolverine, muskox, we've talked about. Ocelot, Jeffrey Spider Monkey, and then tied was North American Black Bear and the elk or Wapiti. So Ocelot, again, nice small cat, quite well known, popular, common in zoos. Small cats are always fine. We've just got the sand cat, so we are lacking some of the smaller cats. So I'm not fussed by it. I would be happy if it came in, but I wouldn't miss it if we didn't get it. Jeffroy Spider Monkey, I think, is a good addition. We do need more primates, as I said before, so a spider monkey would be great. Still, obviously more Central America rather than North America, but we're still saying Central America is North America just according to the continents and the stuff. Just for that purposes, that's how we're going to go with it. So yeah, Jeffroy Spider Monkey, and then North American black bear, we may as well just get all the bears at this point, really. I think we're only missing sloth bear, North American black bear, and spectacled bear, so yeah, I mean, again, I don't think we desperately need it. We can make a decent one from a grizzly bear, modding wise, but if we got it, then it's not the end of the world. And then the same with the elk. It's an interesting species, looks visually still different to like the red deer. Good representation for North America because it is an iconic species there, cool noises and stuff too, but I wouldn't miss it if we didn't get it. Oceania, so we've got Tasmanian Devil, Goodfellows or Matchy's Tree Kangaroo, North Island Brown Kiwi, Shortbeak Echidna and Quokka. So Tasmanian Devil is, as far as I know when I last checked, the top requested species on the wish list in general. I'd be surprised if we didn't get it at some point, just because it's been top for such a long time now. And it would be great representation for Tasmania and for Oceania in general. Yeah, I definitely think we should have it. Moving on, Goodfellows, Matchy's Tree Kangaroo. The Goodfellows was actually number 2 and the Matchy's was number 5 on the list, but I've just combined the two into the second number 2 spot. I didn't actually check if both of them combined would be the same as the Tasmanian Devil, but I don't think it, even if they were combined, I don't think it would be. But yeah, I don't think we need both, but a tree kangaroo would be great. They're another interesting, unique species for the area. Something that's climbing. They look visually nice, good representation for Oceania. So yeah, I think having a tree kangaroo of some species would be great. Kiwi we've already talked about in my suggestions, but good New Zealand representation, which we're lacking desperately. A unique species, they could do it probably quite nicely, although the mod that already exists is very good. But yeah, just having an official one would be nice. So yeah, I definitely think we should get Kiwi of some description, any sort would be fine really. Echidna again, nice visually, great representation, unique looking. They've just done the porcupines, so they could probably nicely do the quills or the spines, whatever you call them, on the echidna. So yeah, I think that would be a nice addition to represent Oceania. And then lastly, with the 2 tree kangaroos combined, the next one on the list for Oceania is the Quokka. Very, very cute, well known for being very cute and popular because of that. I don't know if it would be my top pick for representing the area. I think you could probably find something else that would fit the bill and be a bit more diverse, but still very cute, still would be nice. Very, very small macropod. I don't know if they're macropods, but they look like they are. I presume they are, but someone can correct me if they're not. But they have that kind of look to them, wallaby-ish look to them. And then South America, we've got the South American coati, the black howler monkey, golden lion tamarin, and then ocelot again, and the spectacled bear. So the coati, yes, definitely good looking, looks wise very good. Interesting, unique, good representation. I think it's a tick from me. Howler monkey and tamarin, both primates that we don't have any representation of already, so they are definitely ticks in my book for representation for South America. Ocelot I've already spoken about, and then spectacled bear, as I said with the black bear, North American black bear, we've already got the others, we might as well get the spectacled bear. But it wouldn't be my top pick to represent South America because I do think the primates is the more important thing, and things like coati, the more interesting, unique things. Obviously, I've not taken into account any birds or anything, but birds is something, well, other than the sort of larger birds you can get away with being normal habitat birds in Planet Zoo as it stands. So, yeah, that is all of the top 5s wish list wise for every location. So yeah, that is everything. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you agree with my suggestions for what could cover the areas that we are lacking. Do you think that we should get all those areas covered, or do you think those small bits of South America that aren't represented are fine, doesn't matter, and or do you hate Hawaii and you don't want any representation from Hawaii, that sort of thing. So let me know your thoughts on those suggestions I gave and of that side of it, and then also let me know your thoughts on the wish list stuff. Have you put in your stuff for the wish list, or any of those yours? Your suggestions, your most wanted? Do you disagree with any of my thoughts on them? So yeah, as I said, I've got a couple of other thoughts of what we could discuss and analyse for what's missing from Planet Zoo already as it stands. So things like types of animals, or the most common animals that you find in zoos, that sort of thing. So if you're interested in hearing some other analysis videos on what's missing from Planet Zoo, then please let me know your thoughts on that too. So that is everything I think that I had to say. So yeah, leave me your comments. Please like the video if you liked it, and you can subscribe if you want to see more videos from me as and when I make any. And yeah, that is everything. So hopefully I will see you in the next one.